What is your reaction to the president declaring he would send troops into the states to keep order? How will you respond?
Certainly, I think I was on a call with President Trump this morning at 5 a.m. And with many other governors all across the country. I think universally we were extremely disappointed at the words that we heard from the president. There was no acknowledgement of the grievances that we've lived with all across the country in addressing the racial discrimination and mistreatment of our minorities. And we were horrified by the tragic death of George Floyd. The president seemed more interested in arming up and taking action and dominating the situation. And when a fellow governor had suggested to the president that what the country needed was a calming and restorative call for unity across the country, he ended the press conference in disgust. And certainly I think that all of us on the call, all of the governors on the call, truly feel like this is a time for our nation to come together. And certainly governors and mayors across the country are committed to providing that leadership in our communities in a way that we can recognize the true peaceful demonstration and statement and show of support to forcefully and expeditiously addressing the grievances that we see across the country in a way that honors the nation that we are. So certainly mayors and I am calling for our community to be respectful, to allow for peaceful demonstration, and certainly calling for all in our community to join hands no matter what they feel about these issues in a way that demonstrates our investment and desire for being respectful and all-inclusive in everything that we do. So thank you very much.
My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to safeguard their residents. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun here in the nation's capital. The Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God. America needs creation, not destruction, cooperation, not contempt, security, not anarchy, healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed. 100%, we will succeed. Our country always wins. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C. What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence. One law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law. And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you, we will help your business, and we will help your family. America is founded upon the rule of law. It is the foundation of our prosperity, our freedom, and our very way of life. But where there is no law, there is no opportunity. Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no safety, there is no future. We must never give in to anger or hatred. If malice or violence reigns, then none of us is free. I take these actions today with firm resolve and with a true and passionate love for our country. By far, our greatest days lie ahead.
Daryl is following up from H&N, wants you or the AG to please respond to the president's threat to send troops into the state. Is it legal, and how will the state respond?
We have a very good relationship with all of the Department of Defense and military installations here in the islands. I'm certain that they would not respond explicitly, that we work with them. I don't believe that we would see Department of Defense personnel, Army, Navy, Coast Guard taking action without cooperation with myself and all of the county mayors, regardless of what the president says.
There are specific provisions that need to be activated for that to happen, and as the governor said, we have a collaborative relationship, so we don't anticipate that being an issue here. Of course, we are different from every other state, too. What we have seen is a demonstrated commitment to peaceful expression, and we have seen here a demonstrated commitment on the side of law enforcement as well as those who want to express themselves. Everybody is taking responsibility, and so long as that continues to be the case, we will have a different set of circumstances from anyone else in the state. But it doesn't just happen. There's collaboration, and then there's certain provisions, legal and otherwise, that have to come into effect.
Thank you, Attorney General. Speaker?
So this morning I co-moderated a conference call between the White House Policy Office and legislative leaders from throughout the United States. And this was part of my role as President-elect of the National Conference of State Legislatures. And the purpose of this conference call was for the White House to explain the future of CARES Act funds. And when the presentation began, the first two presenters from the White House discussed the violence that was occurring throughout the United States. And what they basically said was that they were working to ramp up against left-wing efforts to create unrest in the United States. And after the second presenter made that statement, I kind of blew my top, and I interjected and I told them that the purpose of the call was really to bring legislatures together on the economic issues facing our country, and that what was top of mind for the state legislators in terms of violence was, number one, how do we prevent these kinds of police incidents from occurring in the future? And number two, how does our society coexist? I did not appreciate the playbook that the White House was obviously trying to force on everyone today. And I hope that the White House will be constructive and try to resolve this issue rather than to divide our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Anybody else? Governor, closing remarks.